Alright guys, so we are back with another buzz cut taper fade tutorial. My name is Sergio Barron. Make sure y'all follow me on my Instagram, Sergio Barron _ and let's get straight into this haircut. I've been getting a lot of requests on taper fades lately, so I thought let's just roll with another one. But here we go. We're gonna start with the number 3 guard, lever closed, and that's where we're gonna buzz off the whole top of the hair length width. I also recently dropped another tutorial with the taper fade as well with the longer hairstyle on top, so if y'all are interested in checking out that tutorial, I will have it here linked on the top of this video. But other than that guys, you're gonna want to make sure that you run this clipper guard over the top length numerous times, making sure you're going against any hair growth pattern that you come across, just to get the haircut as even as possible. You can also use your comb to kind of help lift up any hairs that is laying down on the scalp, and then just follow it with the clipper to make sure that it's cut down to an even length. Then let's just go ahead and clean and dust off everything really well to proceed with setting in our guidelines. I'm gonna use my 1.5 clip here with the lever open, and this is just simply to just debulk the area where I will be setting in my guidelines. I always like to debulk these areas just so you can better see clearly where you're gonna set in your guidelines. I also like to use my trimmers to kind of quickly shape out the edges just so I know exactly where to start my first guideline. And since this is somewhat of a regular to a low taper, I set my guideline about right here. Make sure it flows evenly towards the back of his nape area. Make sure that line also flows straight across the back. And then just proceed doing the exact same step on the opposite side. Then following that up with my clipper, lever all the way open, I'm gonna set in my next guideline, just coming up about 1/2 inch from my previous one that I set in. And then just make sure that these lines run parallel to one another. This is key to making sure that your fade comes out as even as possible. And also guys, all the tools and all the steps to this haircut will be listed down in the description for y'all. Next up, I'm gonna go ahead and grab my number 1 guard, still leaving that lever fully open on my clipper, and I'm gonna just go ahead and start setting in my next guideline. And again, just coming up about another 1/2 inch from the previous. And since we are coming up a little higher guys, I'm kind of already assuming that I'm trying to connect the side length to the top length, if that makes sense. So I tend to kind of flare out a little more than what I did with my previous lines. But again, just keeping in mind that you're coming up 1/2 inch. Next, I'm gonna go ahead and grab my 1.5 clip, keeping that lever still fully open. And here all I'm doing is trying to connect the side length to the top length, which was the number 3. So I tend to use the corners of this clipper guard and then just kind of flare out so we can try to smooth out that top bulk area so we can have that clean transition from the side taper to the top number 3. I always say when you're starting out, it's always a good idea to pick haircuts that have a shorter length on top, like this one here, like a number 3, because it's always going to be easier to fade into shorter lengths than it is to longer lengths as a beginner. But here we're pretty much set with our guidelines. Next up, I'm gonna go ahead and grab my 1/2 clip, and I'm gonna position this lever on that 3/4 spot. And that lever position is just a little bit closed from it being all the way open. But here you see these 2 guidelines. We're gonna start with erasing the top one first. And see how I tend to use the corner of my clipper. This just helps me get in there with a more detailed fashion so that I'm not taking out too much at one time. I'm gradually blending out that guideline, if that makes sense. And all I'm coming up and down is about 1/4 inch in space. So any little dark area that I create above this, I'm gonna hold off to use a higher guard to finish erasing it. So for now, just stick with this 1/2 clip on that 3/4 position with that lever, and then just slightly keep blending over that initial start of the guideline till you start seeing it soften up. Next up, I'm gonna go ahead and throw on the number 1 guard, and I'm gonna still leave that lever position on that 3/4 spot. And any little dark areas that were created by that half clip previously, I'm gonna go ahead and blend those right out with this guard. And again, I'm only using the corner of the clipper so I can get in there with a more detailed fashion to soften up those areas. And then just repeat the exact same thing on the back side as well. And again, it's a good idea to keep in mind that you're trying to blend out this area, so always use a scoop out motion or a soft motion when blending out these guidelines so that you're not creating any more harsh or dark lines into the fade again, if that makes sense. And I just want to quickly say, guys, thank y'all so much for the support. We're almost at that 800,000 subscriber mark. That is just kind of crazy to say, but thank y'all so much, and let's hit that million. But now here we're just with that one guideline, or that first guideline to blend out, and I'm gonna start with that clipper lever all the way closed, and then just slightly blend right over it, and you'll start seeing it blend out. And I'm gonna open that lever halfway next, continue blending a tad bit higher, and then after this I'll go ahead and open the lever fully to finish connecting whatever else needs to be blended to that side taper. By this point, it should be real minimal, so you're just kind of pinpointing any little dark areas to blend out to really smooth out the blend. And then just repeat the exact same thing on the back. But since the back is a larger space to work with, I like to break it up into 3 sections, starting with the left side right here. And I'm gonna just do the exact same steps, starting with that clipper lever closed. I open it halfway, move up a tad bit higher, and then I open it fully, and then just finish taking out whatever is left on that fade. Then once I'm done there, move down to the next section down the middle and repeat the exact same steps. Also, guys, let me know down in the comments, what type of video formats do y'all prefer? Some people say they don't like to hear me talk. Maybe I sound annoying on my voiceovers, I don't know. But no, I think some people just like to kind of just really focus on the haircut without having to hear my voice. But then some people like to hear me actually talk and walk y'all through what is going on or my thought process. So let me know, that way I know how to kind of diverse our video formats and whatnot. I'm trying to cater to as many people as possible on this channel. But then after you're done blending out that first guideline, guys, just grab your trimmers, take out the rest of the bottom of the hair. And I mean, for those that don't want to shave it, you'll be done right here. Just take out the rest of the bottom of the hair with the shaver, with the trimmer. But if you do want to shave it, go ahead and grab your electric shaver and then just shave out all that excess bottom of the hair to get a really clean bald fade. Also, guys, we did just drop our Street Tee collection t-shirt and cap. If y'all would like to check those out, just visit our store at fadedculture.com. I'll also leave a link down in the description so y'all can go ahead and follow that way. But then once we're done shaving out the bottom of the hair, I'm gonna start my lineup work. I always like to keep this lineup as natural as possible, and then just take your time. I always take my time, guys. I never prioritize speed. I just like to prioritize quality. Just stay as natural as you can with the lineup, at the same time trying to get them as clean as possible. So there's a fine line between pushing it too far back and also not pushing it too far enough so that it's so it don't look sharp, if that makes sense. But yeah, and then for the side, I always create that 90-degree angle box lineup. Then just make sure you flow across to the opposite side as straight as possible. I'm always constantly taking a step back so I can ensure that I'm flowing along the forehead as straight as possible. Sometimes if you're too caught up on one spot or you're too close up on where you're working, by the time you're done, you'll take a step back and realize you were going crooked the whole time. So just always constantly take a step back so you can analyze and reassess if you need to change your line. Then once we're done with the lineup, I'm gonna go ahead and quickly blow dry everything out of the way so that we have a clean canvas. I'm constantly always recommending that you dust off your client as you're working to always maintain a clean workspace. Then I'm gonna go ahead and prep my Turkish razor. Y'all can find these razors and the Turkish razor holder at fadedculture.com as well, guys. But then I like to snap the sides of the razors just so I can better insert it onto the Turkish razor. And then I'm gonna apply some of our Faded Culture shaving gel onto all the areas that I will be shaving. And this is just to help prevent any skin irritation or any potential cuts. This just helps lubricate the skin and give it a cleaner shave. And I also like to spray a little bit of water after just to help preserve the life of the shaving gel so that it doesn't dry out as fast. And then here I'm gonna just go ahead and start attacking all the areas that were trimmed out with our trimmers. I always like to shave downwards first, shaving off most of the excess gel and most of the hair. And then I'll kind of come back and shave against the hard line to give it that sharp look that we're looking for. Also guys, make sure with the opposite hand you're always tugging on the skin to help create that tension on the skin so that you can help that blade slide with ease. Remember guys, we're not applying any hard pressure on the razor. With the shaving gel, this blade just should slide effortlessly on the skin, shaving off the hair. And if you feel like you need practice, just go ahead and practice without an actual razor on the holder, if that makes sense. And until you build that confidence moving around all the areas of the head, then you can go ahead and start putting on a razor and start actually practicing with some actual shaving. And some people have always asked me why I use one glove, and this is why guys, because my left hand is the one that's mainly always touching the skin. So for sanitary purposes, I always keep one glove on my left hand, since my right hand is always grabbing the tool and not so much the head. But yeah guys, it's really important that you always practice without a razor in the beginning, especially like right behind the ear like you see here. I remember when I first started, it was a little difficult getting in here in these areas, but with practice you'll get better. I used to cut a lot of people back then, but I didn't care. But yeah guys, once you're done with that, I'm gonna quickly come in with my hair dryer, medium heat, and kind of blow dry everything off. Make sure everything is really dry and cleaned off. And this is what separates, in my opinion, one barber from another, is the detail work. I know we already did the lineup with the trimmer and the straight razor, but I'll clean everything off, comb everything off the hairline, and I'll hit it another time just to get it as sharp as possible. Sometimes you might think your lineup is sharp, but once you get a comb and kind of comb over the hairline, you'll see that it was just a lot of hair kind of built up in that space, and it don't look as sharp as it could be. So make sure you kind of brush everything off and give it one more pass to get it as clean as possible. Also guys, when people ask for eyebrow services or facial services, you always want to treat them as they were an actual haircut. So first, if they need trimming, go ahead and trim them. Then I come in with my trimmers and actually line them up, kind of detail them before I use my straight razor, and then I'll actually use my straight razor. But yeah guys, every area you should treat it. Don't just half-ass it, you know what I'm saying, just because it's something small. It's always gonna show, and people are really gonna appreciate when you take your time on every part of the haircut. It's one thing to be a good barber, it's another thing to be able to provide a great service all the way around. If you want people to trust you, you gotta be able to go the extra mile. Just do things that you would want for yourself. But yeah, not a lot of people care in this world, you know, so be someone that cares, and trust me, that'll go a long way for you in the long run in anything you do. But yeah guys, that's pretty much it. Here's the before and here's the after. I'm gonna quickly show you the after here without enhancements for those that don't like using enhancements. And if you do want to use enhancements, go ahead and mix equal parts of water with hair dye into an airbrush compressor, and then just get any cards that you like. Right here I'm using our own Faded Culture cards. Y'all get these whenever y'all purchase some t-shirts. These are metal as well, so they'll last you a long time. But here's pretty much the after haircut, guys. I hope y'all enjoyed this tutorial. If y'all did, let me know down in the comments. Make sure y'all like it and subscribe. My name is Sergio Barron. This is Faded Culture, and I'm gonna catch y'all on the next video. Peace.